Alrighty, we have the link. So I will drop the link to that in the chat as well if anyone would like it, and it will also be available on the general sessions document shortly. Alrighty. Okay, and if I'm going to message that to someone else, if someone else could, Riley or Jake, if one of you could put that in the website document, in the general sessions document. I'm so sorry about my computer making noises. I got it 2 days ago and I don't know how to make it stop without meeting you all. So I'm just going to apologize in advance for that. Okay, so we will begin to hold the meeting here in just a moment. We will give everyone a minute to come back, since I did say we were taking a brief recess, but we do have our live stream set up. Please don't try to pull it up while you're watching this. There's a significant delay, and you could also end up with some weird feedbacky stuff. So that almost happened to me because I timed my muting with the time I started talking with the delay perfectly. So, okay. And if all the state officers, whenever you are ready to begin the official business, if you could just turn your cameras back on and we will begin. Okay. I'm going to spotlight the state officers. Is Zion with us? Oh, there she is. Okay. Sorry, I have a little tiny Zoom window. I'm trying to find everyone. Okay. Ready. The 43rd annual business meeting of the Tennessee Technology Student Association will now come to order. Mr. Reporter, are all officers in their places?
They are, Madam President.
Madam Secretary, will you please call the roll?
Mr. Reporter.
Present. The symbol of my office is the beacon tower. It is my duty to see that our schools, communities, and national association have a complete report of our organization's activities.
Madam Treasurer.
Present. The symbol of our office is the balanced budget. It is my duty to keep accurate records and see that our financial obligations are met.
Madam President.
Present. The symbol of my office is the gavel. The duties vested in me by my office are to preside at all regular and special meetings of this organization and to promote cooperation in carrying out activities and work of our organization. Madam Secretary.
Present. The symbol of my office is the pen. It is my responsibility to keep accurate records of all business and correspondence of this association. Madam Vice President.
Present. The symbol of my office is the star. It is the duty of my office to see that we always have a strong membership, a good work program, and are alert to the welfare of our state.
Madam President, all officers are present and in their places.
Thank you, Madam Secretary. Mr. Reporter, do we have any guests present?
Yes, Madam President, we would like to recognize all alumni in attendance. These dedicated individuals donate countless hours and resources to ensure that our conference is a success. Thank you, alumni.
We are now ready to transact our business. Madam Secretary, will you please call the roll of the local chapter associations?
Before I begin the roll call, please listen to a few instructions. When your chapter is called, the voting delegates will unmute and the chief voting delegate will identify your chapter's presence by stating the number of delegates present. Please ensure you clearly project the number of delegates so we can accurately represent your chapter in the roll call. Anderson County Career and Technical Center.
2 delegates.
Anderson County Career and Technical Center has 2 delegates. Arlington High School, 2 delegates. Arlington High School, 2 delegates. Arlington High School stands at 0 delegates present. Collierville High School, 2 delegates.
2 delegates.
Collierville High School stands at 2 present delegates. Fairview High School, 2 delegates.
Fairview High School stands at 2 delegates.
Fairview High School stands at 2 delegates. Fairview Middle School, 2 delegates.
Fairview Middle School stands with 2 delegates.
Fairview Middle School stands at 2 delegates. Fred J. Page Middle School, 2 delegates.
2 delegates.
Fred J. Page Middle School stands at 2 delegates. Fulton High School, 2 delegates. Fulton High School, 2 delegates. Fulton High School stands at 0 delegates. Hampton High School, 2 delegates. Hampton High School, 2 delegates. Hampton High School stands at 0 delegates. Hardin Valley Academy, 2 delegates.
Hardin Valley Academy stands at 2 delegates.
The Hardin Valley Academy stands at 2 delegates. Hardin Valley Middle School, 2 delegates.
Hardin Valley Middle School stands as 2 delegates.
Hardin Valley Middle School stands as 2 delegates. Houston High School, 2 delegates. Houston High School, 2 delegates. Houston High School stands at 0 delegates. Carnes High School, 2 delegates.
Carnes High School stands at 2 delegates.
Carnes High School stands at 2 delegates. Middle College High School, 2 delegates.
Middle College High School stands at 2 delegates.
Middle College High School stands at 2 delegates. Martin Luther King Jr. Academic Magnet High School, 2 delegates.
2 delegates present.
The Martin Luther King Jr. Academic Magnet High School stands at 2 delegates present. Northeast High School, 2 delegates. Northeast High School, 2 delegates. Northeast High School stands at 0 delegates. Northwest Middle School, 2 delegates. Northwest Middle School, 2 delegates. Northwest Middle School stands at 0 delegates. Page High School, 2 delegates.
Page High School stands at 2 delegates.
Page High School stands at 2 delegates. Polk County High School, 2 delegates. Polk County High School, 2 delegates. Polk County High School stands at 0 delegates. Robertsville Middle School, 2 delegates.
2 delegates are present.
Robertsville Middle School stands at 2 delegates. Signal Mountain High School, 2 delegates.
Signal Mountain High School stands at 2 delegates.
Signal Mountain High School stands at 2 delegates. STEM School Chattanooga, 2 delegates. STEM School Chattanooga, 2 delegates. STEM School Chattanooga stands at 0 delegates. Sycamore High School, 2 delegates. Sycamore High School, 2 delegates. Sycamore High School stands at 0 delegates. Tennessee High School, 2 delegates. Tennessee High School, 2 delegates. Tennessee High School stands at 0 delegates. White County High School, 2 delegates.
White County High School stands at 2 delegates.
White County High School stands at 2 delegates. Madam President, the roll call has been completed and a quorum has been established.
Thank you, Madam Secretary. Will you please present the minutes from the previous business meeting?
The 41st annual TNTSA business meeting was called to order at 7:15 a.m. on April 5th, 2019 by State President Noah Kelly. State Secretary Keith Sullivan called the roll of the local chapter associations, and 69 delegates and 6 state officers were recorded for a total of 75 voting delegates. State Vice President Alexis Miniat called the candidates seeking election to the stage. In the presidential pool, the candidates were Isabel Chris, Katie Cook, and Tori Hart. In the general pool, the candidates were Carson Bach, Taylon Hill, Eli Logan, Nolan Patterson, Riley Spees, Devesh Dupkar, Jax Turner, and Zion Zhu. Election official Matt Crabtree was called to the stage to explain voting procedures for the presidential pool. Votes were cast for president, and the meeting was declared in recess until the president called it back to order. The meeting was called back to order at 7:30 a.m. by State President Noah Kelly. Election official Matt Crabtree was called back to the stage to explain voting procedures for the general officer pool. Votes were cast, and the meeting was declared in recess until the president called it back to order. The meeting was called back to order at 8 a.m. by State President Noah Kelly. State Sergeant-at-Arms Tori Hart led the pledge to the flag of the United States of America. State Secretary called the roll, and officers were present. Madam Sergeant-at-Arms recognized alumni. Mr. Secretary called the roll of the local chapter associations, and a quorum was established. He then read the minutes of the previous state conference, which were accepted as read. Madam Treasurer presented a copy of the financial statement, which was on file at the offices in Nashville. Madam Vice President presented a copy of the membership report, which was accepted as distributed. Madam Vice President presented the membership committee report. Mr. President recognized the membership committee vice chairs and region chairs. There is no unfinished business. Mr. President called for new business. Madam Treasurer moved to limit debate. The motion was passed, and debate was limited to 2 minutes per speaker and 60 minutes total for new business. Madam Sergeant-at-Arms called for the orders of the day. The first order of the day was to recognize advisors. Mr. President welcomed advisors. The second order was the presentation of awards. Madam Treasurer presented the Distinguished Service Award to Katie Cook. The third order of the day was to address the proposed bylaw amendments. The first bylaw amendment would strike less than 5 in Article 5, subsection E, and replace it with 5 or less. Ms. Elizabeth Boulay from Fairview High School moved to amend the bylaws as proposed. The amendment passed. The second bylaw amendment would strike the phrase, the membership committee members will be appointed annually by the Executive Council in Section 2, subsection D, and replace it with the phrase, membership committee positions will be assigned by state officer team elects, along with the outgoing state president and vice president, following interviews with each applicant. Ms. Katie Cook from Carnes High School moved to amend the bylaws as proposed. Ms. Natalie Harris moved to amend the bylaw amendment by inserting state advisor into the question. The amendment to the amendment passed. The newly amended amendment passed. The third bylaw amendment would insert the phrase to run before for a state office. Ms. Natalie Harris from Page High School moved to amend the bylaws as proposed. The amendment passed. The final bylaw amendment would insert a subsection in Article 3, subsection 1, stating, Tennessee TSA will follow national TSA, except in instances of difference in which Tennessee TSA will follow state bylaws. Ms. Riley Spees from Hardin Valley Academy moved to amend the bylaws as proposed. The amendment passed. The fourth order of the day was the parade of chapter presidents. There were no further orders of the day. There was no further business. The Assembly rose to recite the TSA Creed and motto. Mr. Secretary read announcements. The meeting was adjourned by Mr. President at 9:15 a.m. Minutes respectfully submitted, Keith Stubblebine, 2018-2019 Tennessee TSA State Secretary.
Thank you, Madam Secretary. Are there any corrections to be made to the minutes? Any delegates who have corrections to be made to the minutes should please drop their name in the chat and we will call upon you if there are any corrections to be made to the minutes. Hearing none, the minutes are accepted as read. Madam Treasurer, will you please present the financial statement?
A copy of the 2020-2021 financial statement is at the Tennessee TSA State Office at the Tennessee Department of Education in Nashville, Tennessee.
Thank you, Madam Treasurer. The financial statement will be filed for audit. Madam Vice President, will you please present the membership report?
A copy of the 2020-2021 membership report is on file at the Tennessee TSA State Office at the Tennessee Department of Education in Nashville, Tennessee.
Thank you, Madam Vice President. The membership report will be filed for audit. Are there any committee reports?
Madam President.
Madam Vice President.
As chair of the membership committee, I would like to report on our activities over the past year. 3 years ago, you, Tennessee State delegation, approved an amendment to the bylaws that created a state membership committee. with the purpose of increasing membership across the state and reaching out to new chapters. This year, the team created more promotional materials for chapters to retain and increase membership and more outreach materials to expand the organization to new schools. In the upcoming years, our hope is that the future membership committee members can build off the work done this year, continue to expand membership, and better our resources by creating more summaries to aid new chapters. While we are trying to get the resources available to TSA members, we understand that the most important tool for Tennessee TSA's growth is you, the members. We ask all of you to not hesitate to contact a member of the membership committee so we can guide interested schools through the process of joining Tennessee TSA. You can also fill out an officer request visit from the forms in the State Officers tab of the Tennessee TSA website. Committee report respectively submitted to Diane Zhu, Vice President.
I encourage each of you to apply for next year's membership committee on the Tennessee TSA website. The application will open immediately following the conclusion of state conference on April 18th. Thank you again to the membership committee for all that they have done for Tennessee TSA. Madam Secretary, is there any unfinished business?
No, Madam President.
Is there any new business?
Madam President,
Madam Secretary?
I move to suspend the rules for the remainder of this business session to allow a 2/3 vote to be carried out in the form of the Zoom poll for the General Assembly and officers.
Second.
The motion has been made and properly seconded to suspend the rules for the remainder of this business session to allow for a 2/3 vote to be carried out in the form of a Zoom poll for the General Assembly and officers as opposed to the typical format. The motion is not amendable or debatable, and due to the lack of prior written notice, requires a 2/3 vote. All those in favor, please raise your right hand. All those opposed, same sign. The motion carries. The rules are temporarily suspended.
Madam President,
Madam Treasurer.
I move to limit the debate per speaker and 60 minutes in total for any new business presented this session.
Second.
The motion has been made and properly seconded to limit debate to 2 minutes per speaker and 60 minutes in total for any new business presented at this meeting. The motion is amendable but not debatable and requires a 2/3 vote. Are there any proposed amendments? Hearing none, we will now vote on the motion through a Zoom poll. In order to conduct all of our votes throughout the conference, what you're going to do is go to the reactions tab in the Zoom. It should be along the bottom. If you can't see it there, it's likely either under the More tab, which is 3 dots, or in the participants view. And you'll either hit yes or no, and you will need to all select it at roughly the same time so we can get an accurate.
Madam President?
Yes.
Point of order.
Yes.
The motion that you stated was differently worded than what was stated by Madam Treasurer. Just if Madam Treasurer wouldn't mind restating her motion for clarification.
Yes, I think there was a cutout with her. Yeah, Madam Treasurer, can you please remake the motion? There's an audio issue. If you could remake the motion.
I move to limit debate to 2 minutes per speaker and 60 minutes in total for any new business presented at this session.
Second.
The motion has now been made and properly seconded to limit debate to 2 minutes per speaker and 60 minutes in total for any new business presented at this meeting. This motion is amendable but not debatable and requires a 2/3 vote. Are there any proposed amendments to this motion? Okay. Hearing none, we will now vote on the motion through Zoom poll. Okay, so we're going to take a break to figure out not break, but we're going to go into a little bit of informality for a moment to figure out the Zoom poll options. So there's a delegate in the waiting room. That was a co-delegate. Page Middle School, what was the name of your delegate? Is that Supriya?
Yes.
Okay. So she has been admitted. Robertsville Middle. So for me, the reactions, there's a button that says yes, and it's a check mark and an X. It doesn't directly, it says yes and no if you hover over it.
Yeah, I think something with our school computer restricts those options. We have a clap, a thumbs up, a heart, a joy, open mouth, and it's a doll. We don't have a yes or no.
Okay, the other ones may be underneath participants or more. Sometimes it splits where they are on different Zoom versions or different laptops.
I see it
So
now.
check out the participants view as well.
I see it now.
Okay, good. Alrighty, so what we'll do is we'll ask everyone to respond yes or no at the same time. And then we will be able to get a count of everyone who says yes and everyone who says no. But we will say 1, 2, 3, and then everyone will submit their buttons. That way it all comes through at the same time because there is a time limit on it. So at the count of 3, please select your yes or no response to the motion on the floor, which is the motion to limit debate to 2 minutes per speaker and 60 minutes in total for any new business presented at this meeting. You could please select your responses now. We did hit 22 votes, which I do believe is 2/3 of our magic number of 33. And there are also several that are on the same device. So we are definitely counting that as 2/3. Alrighty, and these should, I believe, fade away. I think I can clear them as well if they do not. Okay. And you can also unselect those if you would wish, but the motion has passed.
Madam President,
Mr. Reporter.
I call for the orders of the day.
The orders of the day have been called for. The motion does not require a second and is not debatable nor amendable. Madam Secretary, what is our first order of the day?
First order of the day is the recognition of advisors.
We would now like to recognize the advisors that help each of us achieve our success through TSA. Thank you for your dedication in helping us reach our full potential. I'm aware that we don't have any advisors currently on the Zoom, but hopefully we do have several in the live stream or who will pass along our message of thanks to. Madam Secretary, what is the next order of the day?
The next order of the day is to address the proposed bylaw amendments.
Tennessee TSA has received 3 bylaw amendment proposals. According to our bylaws, amendments must be proposed by 1 or more local Tennessee TSA chapters and sent to the state office at least 90 days prior to the annual business meeting. The proposal must be signed by 2 chapter members and the chapter advisor. That requirement has been met for these amendment proposals. Once the amendments have been received, the Executive Council is charged to review and approve the proposals and publish them on the state website. These requirements have also been met. At this meeting, the delegates will consider all 3 amendments. For the proposals to be adopted, they must receive a 2/3 affirmative vote of the chapter delegates present and voting at this meeting. If the amendments are adopted, they will take effect 60 days following this meeting. The first bylaw amendment concerns Article 11, Section 2 of the Tennessee TSA bylaws. Hold on one second while we double check our representative is here to present this amendment. I think she's not. That is a keen observation, Madam Treasurer. Madam Treasurer, could you please ask our representative from Middle College to return to the Zoom? Thank you. We will pause for one moment while we wait for her. Madam Vice President, could you please screen share the amendments from the PowerPoint? But the first bylaw amendment concerns Article 11, Section 2 of the Tennessee TSA bylaws, which defines the membership committee. This first proposed bylaw amendment strikes committee membership in Article 11, Section 2, subsection C, and replaces it with membership committee. The full text of the proposed amendment may be found in on the state conference website portal. Once we have the representative of Middle College High School here to present the amendment, the chair will recognize them as the speaker on the floor. Is there a delegate within the Zoom that knows that their counter or their partner delegate has been kicked out of the room with the name of Ellen Fodor? If so, if you can message that in the chat or speak now. Otherwise, this delegate will not be admitted to the voting Zoom. Does anyone know of the delegate Alan Fodor that has been kicked out of the Zoom? Sorry for the delay with our representative. She is currently joining the Zoom. If anyone has any questions about the bylaw amendment process while she is joining her audio, you can drop those in the chat or private message them to any of the officers. The chair will now recognize the representative of Middle College High School to introduce the amendment.
Good afternoon. The proposed bylaw is as follows. Amendment Article 6, Section 2, subsection C. The amendment is Section 2 to amend subsection C by striking and at least one technology education class to be qualified. The current wording is, a student must be a member of TSA for at least 1 year before seeking a membership committee position. A Tennessee TSA member must have completed the 7th grade and at least one technology education class to be qualified.
Ms. Tripp, I believe
if adopted, the word would read, a student must be.
Ms. Tripp, I believe you have the wrong amendment you're reading, to my knowledge. The correct amendment is currently screen shared. Ms. Tripp, you're still recognized as the speaker. Ms. Tripp, you're still recognized as the speaker to present the correct amendment.
To amend sections 2, to amend subsection C by striking out committee membership and inserting membership committee. The current wording is qualification for committee membership. If adopted, the word would read qualification for membership committee. I second that amendment.
I think the audio cut out as Ms. Tripp, as Ms. Julia Tripp moved to approve the amendment as proposed. But I do believe that motion was made and that was properly seconded. So as it has been moved and properly seconded, that we amend the bylaw as proposed. We will now move into discussion on this motion. In order to hold our discussion, if you would like to speak pro, if you could once again select the yes button on the reactions. And if you would like to speak con, you can select the no button in the Zoom reactions. We will alternate between those in favor and those in opposition to speak. And as a reminder, debate has been limited to 2 minutes per speaker and 60 minutes in total for all new business presented in this meeting. If you would like to be called upon, if you could also please drop your name in the chat. Is there any discussion at this time? If there's any discussion, please drop your name in the chat at this time, or else we will call that no discussion. Okay. Seeing none, we will now vote on the amendment to the bylaws as proposed. This vote will be taken as previously established through Zoom reactions. Only voting delegate votes are counted and only voting delegates should vote. So at this time, please complete the Zoom reactions by selecting either yes or no. Only 15 people have cast their votes, so please make sure that you cast your votes. All delegates should now cast their votes by using the Zoom reactions. This includes state officers and voting delegates. The only delegate in the Zoom who is not eligible, the only people who are not eligible in the Zoom for a vote is Mr. Noah Kelly and Miss Julia Tripp, as they are currently here as guest speakers. And Mr. Keith Stubblewine. Everyone else should vote.
Madam President.
Yes.
Because of Zoom, I am unable to vote because I'm screen sharing, but I am voting yes. If you could add that to the count.
Thank you. That vote will be counted secondarily. Madam Secretary, if you could please vote as well. I think she's talking and has her earbud out. Never mind. Okay. There are still delegates who have not voted. If you could please vote. I'm not going to call. Okay. I do believe we have, this may technically, if you're not voting, we may count that as an abstention. I believe would be, let me count the number who have not voted because it is not telling me that number. Okay, there are only 6 delegates who have not voted to my knowledge. So 33 minus 6 would be 27, which would still give us a majority. So looking at the way that it is with the people who are doubled, I believe, to my best math knowledge and knowledge of the Zoom, that is an approval of the amendment. So the amendment has been approved. The next proposed amendment redefines the qualifications for the membership committee in hopes of encouraging middle school involvement. This amendment will strike the phrase "and at least one technology education class to be qualified" in Article 11, Section 2, subsection C-2. We'll now welcome a representative of the Martin Luther King Magnet Junior High chapter.
To amend Section 2. To amend the subsection by striking "and at least one technology education class to be qualified." The current wording is, a student must be a member of TSA for at least 1 year before seeking a membership committee position. A Tennessee TSA member must have completed the 7th grade and at least one technology education class to be qualified. If adopted, the wording would read, a student must be a member of TSA for at least 1 year before seeking a membership committee position. A Tennessee TSA member must have completed the 7th grade.
Are there any motions on the floor in regards to this amendment?
Second.
I've heard a second, but I've not heard the original motion. Are there any motions on the floor for this amendment? In order to vote upon this motion, we will need a motion to pass the amendment as proposed.
I move that we accept the bylaw amendment as proposed. Second.
It has been moved and properly seconded that we amend the bylaws as proposed. Discussion will be held as previously established. Is there any discussion? If so, please drop your name in the chat. Alrighty. So there's only one delegate who is marked for discussion. That was Zofia from MLK High School. Zofia, you are now recognized for 2 minutes as the speaker.
Our school is proposing this amendment due to the lack of availability, specifically in the middle school level, of technology education classes. So this qualification would limit members from seeking a position in the membership committee. This is why we wish to strike this wording from the amendment.
Thank you, Zofia. Is there anyone else who wishes to speak on this amendment? Hearing no further discussion, we will now vote on the amendment to the bylaws as proposed. Once again, this vote will be taken through Zoom poll of the chapter delegates. Only voting delegate votes are counted and only voting delegates should vote. Please, at this time, complete the Zoom reactions by selecting either yes or no. If you do not select either yes or no, your vote will be counted as an abstention. Seeing that we have reached the majority of delegates who have both voted and voted in favor, this motion carries. The final amendment will redefine the structure of the Tennessee TSA Membership Committee by striking subsection B in its entirety and inserting the wording as printed in the program and seen on the screen. If Madam Vice President will flip to the next slide. This amendment, it may be before, I don't know exactly the order of your slides. This is the third amendment. I will drop a link in the chat, one moment. Okay, the link has been dropped in the chat for all those to view the third bylaw amendment if you would like to read it while we discuss. The amendment will clarify the role of the membership committee within our organization and establish its leadership structure. We will now welcome a representative of the Hardin Valley Academy TSA chapter.
Good afternoon. The amendment that we have proposed is to amend section 2, subsection B, by striking, each year the membership committee must consist of at least, but is not limited to, one TSA member from each region, West Tennessee, Middle Tennessee, and East Tennessee. If a member from each region does not apply, the Executive Council will nominate an eligible member for a membership committee position. And inserting, the Tennessee TSA Membership Committee shall consist of the Tennessee TSA Vice President and 7 to 9 appointed members. The state vice president shall serve as the chair of the committee. 6 members must be selected from the high school division. 1 to 3 members must be selected from the middle school division. At least 1 member must reside within each grand division of Tennessee. And finally, if a member from each region does not apply, the Executive Council will nominate an eligible member for a membership committee position.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Are there any motions on the floor in regards to this amendment?
Madam President,
Madam Secretary.
I move that we accept the bylaw amendment as proposed.
Second.
It has been moved and properly seconded that we amend the bylaws as proposed. Is there any discussion on this amendment? Once again, if you would like to discuss this amendment, please drop your name in the chat, along with if you are a pro speaker or a con speaker for the amendment. Hearing none, we will now vote on the amendment to the bylaws as proposed. Once again, this vote will be taken through a Zoom poll of the chapter delegates. Only voting delegate votes are counted and only voting delegates should vote. Please vote now once again with the Zoom reactions. The amendment has passed. Is there any further new business? Please note all amendments passed at today's business meeting will go into effect in 60 days. Madam Secretary, will you please lead the assembly in the National TSA Creed?
I believe that technology education holds an important place in my life and the technical world. I believe there is a need for the development of good attitudes concerning work, tools, materials, experimentation, and processes of industry. Guided by my teachers, artisans from industry, and my own initiative, I will strive to do my best in making my school, community, state, and nation better places in which to live. I'll accept the responsibilities that are mine. I'll accept the theories that are supported by proper evidence. I will explore on my own for safer, more effective methods of working and living. I will strive to develop a cooperative attitude and will exercise tact and respect for other individuals. Through the work of my hand and mind, I'll express my ideas to the best of my ability. I will make it my goal to do better each day the task before me, and be steadfast in my belief in my God and my fellow Americans.
Will the Assembly please repeat the National TSA motto after me? Learning to lead in a technical world.
Learning to lead in a technical world.
Please welcome Madam Secretary to share a few announcements if there are any announcements. Hearing none, we will begin to adjourn the session. I encourage each of you to post your pictures on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook from throughout the conference using hashtag TNTSA and hashtag RiseRenewTSA. Does anyone know of any reason why this assembly should not adjourn? If not, I will now entertain a motion to adjourn.
Madam President.
Madam Treasurer. Madam Treasurer, your Zoom cut out for just a moment, but you are recognized.
Madam President.
Madam Treasurer.
I move to adjourn this meeting.
I now declare the 43rd Annual Tennessee TSA Business
Point of
Meeting.
order.
Okay, I move to adjourn this meeting.
Madam President, point of order.
Yes.
You went ahead and adjourned the, like we were in the process of adjourning the meeting without actually taking a vote on the adjournment.
Yes, we are. I'm so sorry. That is correct. Your point is in order, Madam Secretary. So I will now entertain a motion to adjourn. So we would like to make that motion for us to vote upon said motion.
Madam President.
Madam Secretary.
I move that we adjourn this meeting.
That motion is in order and has been made and properly seconded. That motion is not amendable nor debatable. And we will now vote on the motion amongst the Executive Council. All those in favor, please raise your right hand at this time. All those opposed, same sign. This motion does pass, and we will now adjourn this meeting. I now declare the 43rd Annual Tennessee TSA Business Meeting adjourned until a special meeting is called for or until our next regular meeting. All delegates, you are now free to leave the Zoom. Thank you so much for coming and for voting and for staying patient with us throughout our issues. We will be in a separate Zoom for the senior social and for the video game night if you're interested in attending those. There's about 20 minutes left in what is supposed to be our senior social. So you can be sure to hop over to that Zoom here in just a moment and we will join you shortly. And we'll have our video game night starting at 4:30 and running until 6 Eastern time. Thank you all.